The fourth claim of heresy levied against Emanuel Swedenborg is that he denies the authority of the Bible. I would say he definitely gives a new, fresh take on the Bible,
Yeah.
but he would say more that there are deeper layers of meaning in the Bible that usually people miss.
Yes, and that the Bible has tremendous authority in his view, but partly where the holiness comes from is different, or how he interprets it. So I see if somebody just really believes in, okay, it's the literal meaning, it says what it means what it says, and you got to go with that, the plain teachings and all that. That yes, he would rub you the wrong way, because he's saying, well, this, woman doesn't mean woman, man doesn't mean man.
Yes. I think you could have a complaint against Swedenborg that he's introducing, you could say he's introducing new meaning to the Bible. I don't think you could say he denies the authority of the Bible.
No.
Because to him, again, just like Jesus is more central to reality in his worldview than any other, I think the Bible is more central in his worldview than in any other worldview. I think any Christian theologian, Swedenborg is quoting the Bible more. He goes so far as to say that God is the Bible. He says that in heaven they still read the Bible.
Yep.
But he does say that there's layers, and he just right out the gate says, look, there are layers of hidden symbolic meaning in every part of the Bible, and that's why it is divine.
And I've even had the thought that he does say at certain times that a big part of his project was to save specifically the Book of Revelation. Like the Book of Revelation was kind of on the chopping block. Luther wanted to get rid of it.
Yep.
And to push it to the back of the book, kind of thing. And if he didn't think it had authority, could someone please explain to me why he quotes it like millions of times?
Right.
He is so fanatical about his quoting of Scripture. It's just amazing.
So, but is the
so
idea
he doesn't act like someone who thinks there's nothing to the. Don't worry about the Bible. Oh, you don't have to. You can dispense with the Bible. Don't worry about it.
So, but is the idea that there is a spiritual meaning inside the literal meaning of the Bible, is that a heretical idea? So that's what we want to look at.
Okay, good.
So
good. Yeah, where would that foreign notion come from?
In John 16, this is Jesus talking. He says, "These things I have spoken to you in figurative language. But the time is coming when I will no longer speak to you in figurative language, but I will tell you plainly about the Father." Now, Swedenborg took that to the Bible, the teachings of Jesus. You can see that there's parables all over the place. He quotes scriptures that don't seem to be exactly about him, but says that they are. Swedenborg would say that that's the figure. The whole Bible is that figurative language. The plain speaking that he is talking about is the spiritual meaning of the Bible, where it does tell you clearly about who God is and what he's like and everything.
That's right. And there's a number of little indicators in the literal sense of Scripture that there's more to it than meets the eye. I mean, that's said in repeated different ways.
Yes. So here's what Swedenborg says about it. He has a book called Sacred Scripture.
Yes,
he's another little short one.
Yep.
But that's all about the nature of the Bible.
Yeah.
What it is. And he says,
that's great.
And this is him really paying homage to the literal sense, that even though he says there's other senses inside it, he doesn't say there's nothing, that the literal sense is worthless or can be cast aside.
Oh, he is not tossing it out.
Divine truth, in all its fullness, holiness, and power, is present in the literal meaning of the word. The reason is that the two prior or deeper meanings that are called spiritual and heavenly, and these are the inner sense that people have criticized Swedenborg for, are together in the earthly meaning, which is the literal meaning.
And he says it comes right down to the, in some of the Hebrew scriptures, it comes down to the individual letters, why it's a hey or an H sound that's added to the name of Abraham or Sarai to become Sarah, and what the meaning of that one letter is, and he cites, I can't count how many times he says that thing about not one jot or tittle of the law will pass until
Yes.
all is fulfilled. That's one of his favorite scriptures.
He goes on, what is heavenly, what is spiritual, and what is earthly emanate from the Lord sequentially, and they exist on the last level in a simultaneous arrangement. There's a whole... Swedenborg is very big on these simultaneous sequential degrees.
Yes.
Says they occur everywhere in nature. It's just like...
It's in our body, our mind and body, and so on.
You got layers of skin.
Yeah.
There's layers to the Earth's mantle. Like there's layers in the atmosphere. Everything has these layers in it. So it is with spiritual things as well.
He talks about how you have, like a really good rope is really three set. You had threads that were around each other, and then those were sort of braided together, and then those were braided together to make this mighty, like the kind of ropes you have on ships for holding the anchor and all that.
All made by the same God that made the Bible, and so you have this same kind of multi-layered.
Yeah.
There's deeper things within. He talks a lot about like fruit and how there's these layers. There's the skin of the fruit, there's the flesh of the fruit, then there are the seeds in the middle.
Right.
So it is there's the literal sense of the Bible, there's a spiritual sense of the Bible, and then there's the heavenly sense within it.
Yeah.
This means that now the heavenly and spiritual meanings of the word are together within its earthly meaning. Once this is grasped, we can see how the earthly meaning of the word, which is its literal meaning, is the foundation, container, and support of its spiritual and heavenly meanings, and how divine goodness and divine truth are present in their fullness, holiness, and power in the literal meaning of the word.
It's a strange story that he has at one point, but he says that Scripture is so powerful in the spiritual world that you can see the light just shining out of it for like miles around. He asked somebody, "What's that huge light?" And it's because there's Scripture there. And apparently, there's some place where they take people who believe that their understanding of Scripture is accurate. Oh no, I've got this all straight. And apparently, this guy who was a preacher who believes he really knows his Scripture well, touches just the paper at the edge of the Bible, and there's an explosion, and he's thrown into the corner and lies unconscious for half an hour, while the angels seemingly callously carry on a conversation about the nature of Scripture, and then eventually he sort of comes to, and they said, it's a good thing you didn't touch the writing.
Yeah. So there's power.
Yeah.
It's a great divine, like the highest pinnacle of technology that exists. Like there's the word, there's a reason why we're sitting here trying to tangle with this book as like this ultimate tool that we can't really comprehend. It's there, it's complicated, but it's definitely like no one's he's not dismissing it.
No, and he seemed to love and dig into the weirdest, strangest little things that nobody, when people talk about Scripture, I think they're thinking about sort of the top 10 stories or certain things that they love in there.
Yeah.
But I've never seen anybody who loved the whole thing the way that he does.
That's true. That to him, he would spend chapters and chapters talking about obscure stuff in the book of Exodus.
Just go on all day.
Or what do Joseph's brothers all mean, and why is there silver in the sacks of grain that they take, and how does all that apply right now to you and to the human mind, and tell you about the nature of God and the nature of Jesus?
Yeah.
You of course you can say, well, that he's just making up meaning that isn't there or something. Sure, you can't prove that, but you can't say that he doesn't have deep reverence for the book and all the stories that are in it.
And he really says that this was his conduit. Yes, he had a vision of Jesus, as you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
But the reading the Bible is really how he learned these things. He got these things from the Bible itself, from the Lord while he's reading the Bible. He's adamant about that point. That was his conduit and his connection.
He goes on. We can tell from this that in its literal meaning, the Word is really the Word. There is spirit and life within. The spiritual meaning is its spirit, and the heavenly meaning is its life. This is what the Lord said, "The words that I speak to you are spirit and are life." Oh, that's what that means. The Lord said his words to the world and said them in their earthly meaning. Apart from the earthly meaning, which is the literal meaning, the spiritual and heavenly meanings are not the word. Without it, they are like a spirit and life without a body, and like a palace that has no foundation to rest on.
Yes. Yeah, he was a champion of that literal meaning. He got to know it pretty well, and I think that was a big part of his. People are very interested in his spiritual experiences. That's where I sort of really got into all this was, what was happening? What did he see? You know,
What's going on in
all
the
that
afterlife?
cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But after a while, you hang around, you realize, really for him, it's all about that. Those experiences were useful because they taught him about the meaning of the Bible. That's where the real good stuff is.
Okay, fifth heresy. There's people are saying Swedenborg denies kind of catch all, like all the other essentials of Christianity. Like he just he doesn't.